The former Kensington housing estate is the first Victorian public housing development to undergo a total transformation. The Kensington project, which is situated just a few kilometres north of Melbourne CBD, was built during the late 1960s and originally consisted of around 700 public housing dwellings in 3 high-rise towers and 15 walk-up blocks. In March 1998, the then Minister for Housing, the Honourable Anne Henderson MP, announced the redevelopment of the estate. The ministerial plan included the demolition of the high-rise tower at 72 Derby Street and all of the walk-up blocks, totalling 486 units. It was also announced that the remaining 2 towers, 56 Derby Street and 94 Ormond Street, would be upgraded and all their units refurbished. The most anticipated aspect of the announcement was that of the apartments to be rebuilt, 2/3 would be offered for private sale. This was a crucial experiment to which successive Victorian state governments had committed support and determination to provide an outcome beneficial to all. The high-rise public housing towers spread across Melbourne were ageing rapidly, and a sustainable program of replacement and renewal was needed.
The Kensington housing site has changed significantly in that modern, high-quality public and private housing are now intermingled with no visible distinction between their design and appearance.
Before work could begin, the whole site had to be vacated. 378 families were relocated to other accommodation, and it was widely considered that this task was handled with sensitivity and consideration for these families' needs. Years of broad consultation and respect for the wider community's concerns was pivotal to the successful integration of public housing tenants and private residents into the Kensington site. The Kensington housing redevelopment has resulted in an almost equal mix of public and private housing, constructed over 10 stages and delivering 722 new dwellings. Refurbishment works are continuing to a further 224 public housing dwellings in the remaining 2 high-rise towers. This will ultimately provide 962 residences, of which 52% will be privately owned. In December 2001, Beckton Group Holdings was announced as the selected developer for the Kensington redevelopment. Beckton was contracted to build the integrated public housing units and private properties, as well as the associated infrastructure, to a 5-star energy efficiency standard.
Beckton became involved in the Kensington project due to what we saw was a very exciting and innovative opportunity to partner government in a social/private housing redevelopment.
There was to be no distinction in the build quality of the public and private residences, and this in itself would have positive consequences. The new accommodation has been admired by the local community and praised by those living in the new apartments. As such, a level of care and respect has become constant in and around the whole site.
One of the best things about the Kensington redevelopment and the built form is the quality of the public houses. The public houses and the private houses are exactly the same, and that is one of the key features and the innovative features of this project.
While the end product has undeniably been worth a decade of development, the decision was made early that an open consultative relationship would have to be built between all parties involved, so that the builders, and residents in particular, could coexist.
One of the major challenges faced in redeveloping the 6-hectare site was ensuring minimal disruption to residents, which was difficult for a project lasting over 10 years. However, residents were kept well informed with the establishment of a community liaison committee.
The Community Liaison Committee included representation from the Kensington public housing tenants, local residents, businesses and schools, Melbourne City Council, not-for-profit organisations, and the Department of Human Services. The committee offered a broad forum for communication between all parties, and each was kept informed of the other's plans, ideas and requirements. The CLC owes much of its success to the work of its longtime chair, Glenys Romani's MLC, and to her successor and current chair, Irvine Newton, the owner of a local pharmacy since 1979.
The role of the CLC evolved during the 12 years. Their initial involvement was more in the form of a watching brief and community engagement. Later though, their shared experiences provided them, and I mean the members of the CLC, with the expertise to be a valuable contributor in both the planning and the design stage. As I see it, the CLC really had three main goals. Firstly, we wanted to provide some quality housing for everyone who would come to live here. We wanted to provide an enjoyable and safe environment for those people, and we wanted to make sure that this area was successfully integrated into the total Kensington community.
All parties appreciated that there were many issues for which they'd need to find a mutually agreeable solution. While any system would have challenges, the resolution of issues often provided a new level of empathy for other participants' positions.
We all recognise we face big challenges from the outset. Everybody involved cooperated with the formation of the Community Liaison Committee. Beckton's involvement with the committee required a real culture shift from our part. Ultimately though, it provided a development that has exceeded everyone's expectations.
The first stage of the redevelopment, which included the striking terraces lining Kensington Road, was ready for occupation in late 2004. And at this time, the department, along with Beckton, identified the need for an on-site resident-focused management enterprise. The Kensington Management Company, a fully owned subsidiary of Beckton, was formed to take on the responsibilities for the management of all housing on site. This was a unique authority in that it managed both public and private properties. By 2008, the redevelopment was reaching the halfway point, with Kensington Road and much of Altona Street already occupied. Around this time, the management company transferred to independent ownership and became known as Urban Communities Limited.
Urban Communities is the on-site place manager, purpose-built for this redevelopment to manage private and public housing integrated into one site.
Apart from managing all the housing on site, Urban Communities has the responsibility for building a sustainable and rewarding community.
Urban Communities community building outcomes are quite significant. Today in this community there are over 90 programs that are running. They range from job creation programs through to health and wellbeing, to gardening programs, to people participating actively together. Whether you're a private resident or a public resident, you still have access to these opportunities and programs.
Some of the opportunities provided by UCL, residents and community partners included cultural celebrations, child activities and youth programs, to employment, training and volunteering. The range of programs has been an integral part of the wider success at Kensington.
One of the greatest learnings through this project has been that people in this community knew what was needed to create the great community we have today. We were able to bring together the CLC, Urban Communities, the Victorian State Government and Beckton and begin to consult together around what was needed for this community to be the success that it is today.
The Kensington redevelopment has been lauded for its innovative approach to breaking down the barriers normally surrounding community housing.
The quality of life has been enhanced for everyone in the community. Residents feel safe, and people from the neighbourhood can walk through here, which they wouldn't have done previously.
Oh, look, by any measure, this redevelopment has had a very positive effect on all of Kensington. The old dividing lines have gone, everyone feels comfortable coming and going into this area and passing through the area, and most importantly, this is really now a great place to live.
The last of the 10 stages, which includes the much-loved park, was completed in early 2012. 10 years of building had delivered not only a modern neighbourhood in the centre of Kensington, but a valuable contribution to the local community. Other public housing sites around Australia have been earmarked for redevelopment in the Kensington model.
The Kensington project is proof that public and private housing can coexist harmoniously.
Apart from this harmony, Kensington is also a worthy example of engaging a community to care for itself. Resident Sandra Joy has raised her 4 sons during her years at Kensington. She represented community housing residents on the CLC for 12 years and says that life for her at Kensington now is like living a dream. She suitably summarises most resident sentiments towards their growing community.
The best thing is though, everyone feels that they belong here.